Adrian, yeah, I hope that you're doing great. The present that you are experiencing right now is a manifestation of the past. Think of it like this. You are looking at this video right now, but as usual, I don't know what the date is. It is August the 14th, 2023, 12:56 p.m. Monday. All right, now you got my stats. And this is the date on which I am making this video, on which I'm recording this video. But whenever you see it, it will be new to you, even though it always existed in the past because it was created in the past. And it's the same way with our life. What you are experiencing right now is a manifestation of your past beliefs, of your past values, of your past subconscious beliefs, which may still be the same. You know, it's a culmination of everything that forms what we call in regression hypnosis your core initiator. The different parts of your mind, your values, your beliefs, your influences, whatever you inherited, that makes you who you are, that makes up the sum totality of who you are. That has a certain, beliefs about who you are, about what's possible for you and what's not possible for you. So when we look at the present, the right now, we are looking at the mirror reflection of the past. Because whatever you focus on is what becomes your reality of life. So whatever your focus was set on in the past has consequently become your present right now. And what we do, we focus so much on the present that we keep on recreating it over and over like on the hamster wheel. And I made this video to explain to you how, first of all, well, I kind of covered that already, how you get yourself into that space and how to stop being in that space. Because what we often do not realize, it is that the ongoing problems, challenges, fears, disappointments, heartaches, backstabbing, whatever it is that we experience, that as much as it seems like it's other people that are doing it and bringing it into our lives, your life is a mirror reflection of who you are. Which means what you experience on the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside. You know, when I was much younger, in my early 20s, I'm 41 now. I turned 41 on July the 8th, 2023. And all the July the 8th, before that, up until 1982 when I was born. But I remember when I was in my young, early 20s, I was a waiter. I was staying with one of my aunts, amazing aunt of mine. And she had this sort of like thing printed out against a wardrobe that I was using. And it said that the current is determined by your past decisions. And whatever you decide today is what will ultimately decide your tomorrow. And I thought to myself, wow, this is really deep. I didn't quite get it, but I thought to myself, this is very deep. I didn't even make the connection between sort of like sometimes you see but you don't see. So I didn't quite make the connection between my thoughts, but I thought this is quite interesting. And maybe this is all this video is for you, and that's fine. Because it's a seed that's being planted. But when you are born, as human beings, we are basically a carbon copy of other people. That is really the short and long of it, and so we are born like a mobile device. We are born, I like to compare it to being born pre-programmed. You've got pre-installed software. And just because you've got pre-installed software doesn't mean that you have to roll with that software. It can be uninstalled. There's upgrades that can be added to it, which in actual fact is recommended. Otherwise, your device, might either crash or become very slow. Its functionality goes down. It's the same thing with us as humans. Where do you think these clever technicians got their ideas from? You know what I'm saying? And so I want to encourage you so strongly to, even if you don't like it, I'm not asking you to like it, but I'm asking you to come to a point where you start accepting that whatever is happening now is a mirror reflection of your past. In tarot, we call it the mirror of tarot. you know. And a lot of times in life, if you maybe happen to, say for example, you happen to be watching, sort of like general, sort of like weekly or monthly sort of tarot readings on YouTube. We're not always so concerned about the past, because I know the fucking past. Why must you keep on talking about the past? I even know where I am now, and I know where I'm going. But what we often don't understand is that as human beings, we are creatures of habit and nature. And even if you say that you're a very open-minded person, adventurous person, your mind is still your mind, and the mind likes sort of like the same pattern of familiarity to flow through. And because of that, we sometimes stay in very compromising situations. This is the reason why, for example, the person who gets beaten halfway to death by their partner stays in that connection, because it is what they know. And if some time passes and you haven't gotten a blue mark here or something, pimple and blue and whatever, you become a little concerned, because you might believe that that is how that person gives love, but that is also how you receive love. You know what I mean? We get fear. I speak about this in my advanced tarot reading course. Fear typically shows up in three ways. It shows up as either a victim, a savior, or a perpetrator. And so if you show up as a victim, somebody needs to be the perpetrator. And you could even see your perpetrator as your savior, because at least somebody's willing to love me. Somebody's at least willing to, to look at me, to be with me, to live with me, to sleep with me. You must say, well, nobody else is doing it. You know what I mean? And then we have all these justifications for why it doesn't happen. You hear people say like, and I mean, I hear these things. I'm just too ugly. It's just that I'm not attractive enough. If maybe I was a little bit more attractive, that could have been to my benefit. But unfortunately, I just have to put up with what I get. According to who and why? Because what we believe becomes our reality. It really is that simple. What you believe for yourself is what becomes your reality of life. Now here comes the twist in the plot. That the reason why most people repeat the past into the present and the present into the future, so basically they keep on repeating the past and creating the same future over and over, maintaining it, because first of all, they either don't know or will not accept that they are creating this for themselves. Because people will say to you, well, if I create my own reality, why would I create something this terrible? This really sucks. Why would I create this for myself? Because of the deeper belief of who you are and what your worth and value is. And you may be born with that programming. You may be born with that programming imprinted into your being of who you are. But here's the wonderful thing. We only use about 2% of our DNA capacity. And the way that is used, sorry, is think of the brain, then think of your DNA all over the show. Okay? Based on what you believe to be true for yourself, your worth, your value, your truth, which may be inherited. That is why a lot of times families are the same, or groups that live in the same sort of like, community. They've got the same sort of dynamic going on, because they are feeding off each other. And human beings are communal beings. You do better in a company than you do on your own. Even if you're like me, who's like a total introvert, you still need people around you. It's like fish in a tank. You get the oddball here and there, it doesn't okay, but in general, you have one fish, the fish is okay, it might actually die of depression. You get about 6 to 8 fish, they're happy as fish in water, living happily in a community, because there's a sense of safety in numbers. It's the same thing with human beings. If you walk down a street in the middle of the night, familiar or unfamiliar, you may still be a little bit jumpy if it's just you. But if there's 12 of you, well, you're quite confident now. Even if you may be 12 women who's not in the safest space, you still feel more confident than if you were alone. Because even if something bad does happen and they grab one person, maybe that one person's not you, so you feel more confident about your chances of success. All right? And that's just how human beings operate. So a lot of times we can lose our identity in a space in order to fit in. And this is often what happens in, say, for example, you work in a very stringent sort of like maybe working environment or living in it. You know, you got a family that's very set on their ways. We are the Smiths and we are lawyers. What the fuck you talking about? You want to be a veterinarian? We are lawyers. You know? And sometimes we can lose ourselves like that. And a great part of changing your life around, of changing the present that you get tomorrow. So today we see as the future, but tomorrow it's the present. So in order to change your present, you need to technically change your past. And that means that you have to come face to face with who you are and who you want to be. And the thing is that most human beings don't know what it is that they want to do or who it is that they want to be. They think they do, but they actually don't. They live off what they've been told, the programming. We, the Smiths, are the lawyers type of thing. You know? Until you ask yourself one day, is this who I want to be? And a lot of times people, when they speak about goal setting and when they speak about, you know, being clear about who it is that you want to be, in order to be clear, you need to also know who it is that you don't want to be. And sometimes in life, the best way to get that is through trial and error. I mean, I am a case in point of that. People have been giving me such great advice, and I didn't listen to it until a couple of years down the line I realized, oh, they were right. So first of all, that you need to remember, in order to know who you are, and in order to get, or let's rather take it a little bit back, in order to get what you want to get, in order to set a goal that is actually in alignment with you, you need to know who you are. You need to know what you want. Life cannot give you anything to your satisfaction if you don't know what you want, and if you can't be clear and specific about it. And I've been trying for years to do this and that and that and that, and you know, you had mediocre success. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't as good as it could be because I didn't know specifically what I want. But when I became very clear about I want to help those people who are ready to discover, unlock, expand, maintain, you know, their own highest good, their own birthright potential. That I want to help people to release the fear that is holding you back, so they get that alignment, so they get what they want. Then things started working for me brilliantly and very smooth and easy. I got more money, more satisfaction, and less frustration and less work. Okay? It can be hard sometimes though. It can be hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. But then you get people like me who specialize in helping you. And if you are not clear about what you want your future to be, but you have the same repeated pattern over and over, the first thing to know is that you have got limiting beliefs within yourself. You don't have clarity within yourself for what it is that you want, where it is that you want to go. Now here lies the magic. The pattern that causes us to have the experience over and over the same thing is somehow in the past, because the past brought you the present. So what we typically do is we look at the present, we say, I hate this shit, and then you get aggro because of it, or sad because of it, or whatever because of it. And what you are really doing it is that you are giving it focus. So the more focus you give it, the more you maintain it. And then it's easy to say, yeah, but this person did that, but you reacted to it. If you don't react to it, that person might still be an idiot, but if you don't react to it, they're going to go and do that to someone else. It's like a gossip. If you are no longer willing to gossip along, they're going to be like, you know, you go fly. You think you're better than me now. I'll go and gossip to someone else. Bounce. You know? So, and sometimes it does mean that you need to say some hard goodbyes. But sometimes we are so quick to set a goal. We are so quick to say, well, I want that. We are so quick to say goodbye without having clarity. It's like reading half a book and say, oh, well, I get this. This is easier. Until one day you read the rest of the book and you realize, oh, I missed out on some amazing, crucial information here. So here are the steps. Know that your present, your current life experience is founded in the past. All right, it's created in the past. So looking at it with no judgment, what is it saying to me? What is it that I don't like? How does this relate to the past? What is my belief in the past that is bringing me to this present? And now when you know, and it's sometimes a little bit difficult to find out what that is. So this is what you do. People normally, or let's rather put it like this, the easiest way to understand what your subconscious patterning is to think back of a time when you were very happy, very angry, very sad, very desperate, feeling very cornered. What were the things that you were saying at that time? What was coming out of your mouth? Because that is going to tell you what your core patterning is. When you put those filters off and you just speak, you're just happy and you just say it. What are you saying? When you are unhappy and you just say it, what are you saying? And when you think of it, not so personally but objectively, like it's someone else's life, what is the correlation between those words and the expression of the reality that you're experiencing? And once you make that connection, you can say, well, that is showing up again in the present, because the present is a manifestation of the past. And if I give it the same sort of energy and focus and reaction as I did before, I'm going to get the same tomorrow. So I'm going to keep on getting the same presence again and again and again. It's like a hamster wheel. You see, you act, you get angry, you maintain. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You see, you still might feel upset, but you might say, well, this is not really what I want. So maybe I need to shift my focus here a little bit. Imagine what that will bring you. And you don't have to change everything all at once. You can change just a small thing. You may still feel the fear, but there's a very big jump, a very big positive jump from now being aware of the fear, but not being ruled by the fear, as opposed to feeling the fear and then running in the other direction. Because fear is simply something that we made up in our mind, and typically speaking, because the mind, unless you give the mind a direct instruction, it is going to take its cue from the past. So a lot of times the anger that we feel is not even the anger that we're feeling now. We're feeling anger because of the other unresolved things. All right? And you can always see it when there's amplified emotions. When you go to a funeral and that person that almost has to be tied up with chains that want to jump into the grave, I can't be without you type of thing. Maybe there's some codependence there. There's some unresolved business there. When you look at other people around you and observe them and you see how they live their life, almost like they're in a dream. When you observe it, when you see it, where do you see it? At the office, you go to a mall, you watch people walk down the pavement, you are watching with no judgment, just observation. As you notice that, know that you are seeing it because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So what you are seeing is you. It's not random people. It's not random events. Coincidence does not exist. It may seem that way because it's the easy way to not have to take responsibility because, it just happened to me. Ain't my fault. It just happened. Nothing just happens. Nothing. So what are you seeing? The good and the bad. Even the neutral. You start like, whoa, look at what they are doing. I think I'm doing that too. Now you are seeing the pattern for what it is. And instead of getting angry all the time, you are realizing that this is a pattern within me. So you are beginning to neutralize the thought. And when you begin to neutralize the thought, then the thought has doesn't have all this dominion over you any longer. And because it doesn't, you're not giving so much attention to it, things begin to change. And every now and then the pattern will resurface again because our mind tries to reroute us back to what's familiar because it sees it as safe. But when you can imagine a better outcome for yourself, because remember, the mind doesn't understand the difference between experience, reality, and make-believe. So use your imagination to your benefit. When you can envision something great in the future, then that great future is no longer unfamiliar to the mind. And anything that's unfamiliar to the mind is seen as a threat. But because it's no longer unfamiliar and it's seen in this positive light, the mind's like, well, let's get on board. And from all the many opportunities to create that you would have typically missed, it now helps to drive you towards it. All right. So remember, just because you've had a terrible life up until now, doesn't mean that you have to have a terrible life going forward. But it does mean that you take responsibility for what is happening in your life And instead of pushing yourself down and saying like, oh, look at me, I've done so bad. So look at me, I've done so bad, but I know I can do better because now I'm aware and previously I wasn't. Which means now you're a different person from who you were before. And you can create a beautiful life for yourself going forward. Okay. If any of you are interested in maybe some more personal guidance from me, you can check in the description. You can maybe book a personal reading, or regression hypnosis is really amazing for moving past things, maybe some distance healing. Or you might be interested in one of my online courses, learning to read cards, spiritual development, and whatever it is that you learn with me. My goal is always to help you to become a better version of yourself, so do check it out. From my heart, namaste, love and light. See you next time.